Hello, everyone, and welcome to SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar on maximizing your brand, launching your brand, maximizing your impact on social media. I'm Bob Hogan, the webinar coordinator today and a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County. And I'll be your host today, and our presenter is Ramon Peralta. More on Ramon in just a minute, but first some brief information on SCORE. SCORE is a nonprofit national partner of the SBA with over 10,000 volunteers nationally. And locally here at SCORE Fairfield County, we have over 100 volunteers with a wide range of industry, process, and subject matter expertise. And we offer three primary value-added services to small business owners. First of all, we offer free one-on-one counseling, and you can access that in person, by video, telephone, email, whatever works best for you. And you can do that by clicking on the bit.ly link you see on the screen or go to the Request a Mentor link on our website. Secondly, we offer a wide range of educational workshops and webinars like the one today, both in person and online. And lastly, we offer extensive resources on our website, including access to subject matter experts at your disposal. Our next live webinar is next Tuesday, January the 14th at noon, and the topic is How My Connecticut Savings Can Help Employers and Employees Succeed, with Lisa Kidder presenting. Again, you can find more specifics on that on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org. If you're on our website, we also have a large number of recorded webinars that cover a wide range of business topics, and you can view those at any time by just clicking on on-demand webinars. Just some logistics on today's webinar. We have set aside time for Q&A at the end of Ramon's presentation. So if you have a question, please use the Q&A button at any time during the presentation, and we'll take as many as we can at the end. Our webinar will end sharply at 1 o'clock to respect your time. The session is being recorded, and a link to the recording will be available on our website within the next day or so. It's now my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Ramon Peralta. As founder, CEO, and Chief Brand Officer of Peralta Design, Ramon leads a team that brings your brand and business to new heights by providing rocket fuel for your business needs. Their slogan, "We Launch Brands," demonstrates their commitment to elevating entrepreneurs and businesses through comprehensive digital strategies. Ramon and his team work with clients to analyze what improvements could be made to their businesses, from branding to digital, and how they can get a fast return on their investment. I'll now turn it over to Ramon. Ramon, it's all yours.
All right, Bob, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? Give me a thumbs up.
Yeah, you're coming through loud and clear for me.
Okay, good. It's hard to get any, yeah, Molly, thanks for raising your hand. Anything like that I can notice will inspire me to get even more energized. These kind of presentations, oftentimes we can't see the crowd reaction. So if you throw up a reaction or something in the chat or save it for your question, for sure, we'll get to you. I'm very excited because this particular presentation is taking a more of a narrow focus on social media. So today we're going to talk about maximizing your impact on social media as a way to launch your brand. Thank you, Bob, again for this opportunity. We've got like a 10-year plus relationship with SCORE. For those of you that are unfamiliar with my background and my story, you might be questioning, like, why am I volunteering for SCORE for so many years? Why do I have a passion to give back to small business owners? Well, it goes back to my personal background and my personal brand story. I kind of got my claim to fame on the team behind Priceline back in '98. I was on that team and subsequently spent another 10 years working at Walker Digital, which was an incubator where we were starting up a lot of new tech startups during, I would say the dot-com era of the 2000s, up until 2008, when the economy came to a halt. Stock market crash. Many of you that are on the call may remember it as the Great Recession. So myself, along with many others, were displaced during that time. I lost my job. I was expecting a big windfall, with one of these big ideas. I had one of my own during that time. I invented a flavored golf tea called Tasty Golf Teas, but it was before the advent of social media. Right, I shut that company down in '06. I got laid off in '08, and social media was in its infancy. Since then, it's really kind of grown, and you can utilize it for your business to really maximize a number of things, including brand awareness. I couldn't find a job in '08, and after some soul searching, created Peralta Design, which at its core mission is here to launch brands and help others that are displaced or starting out. And so some folks may hear me call myself a reluctant entrepreneur, meaning I didn't set out to start a business, but found myself in a position to do so. And over the last 16 years, have really learned a tremendous amount through trial and error, through a variety of programs, including SCORE and Tuck, and many of these programs that are out there, how to maximize. And I got on the Today Show primarily because of content marketing. And we're going to talk about content marketing. What I did during the pandemic was put out content. I put out over 150 two-minute videos sharing my expertise, and it got the attention of the Greater New Haven Chamber, which gave me an opportunity to be on a panel. And then I got a call from NPR, and that call was to talk about reopening safely. And I asked them, how did you guys hear about me? And it was because they signed up for that webinar that the New Haven Chamber had created on reopening safely. And once I got on NPR, I got a call from the Today Show, and the Today Show heard me on NPR. But all of it stemmed from putting out content, right, just like this, from my office, and putting it out on LinkedIn and putting it out on Facebook and getting views and getting likes and getting shares and getting engagement. So I'm very, very excited to share some tips and tactics and strategies that are going to help you grow your brand, launch your brand, and maximize your impact. So fast forward to today, we run an amazing company here in Shelton, and we manage social media platforms for a lot of companies. But as a small business owner, as someone that is near and dear to SCORE, I'm here to empower you today with some tactics, because in the beginning you have to do everything yourself. I understand that, and so hopefully today there'll be some takeaways. I also have gifted everyone a free ebook copy of my book, which also has a lot of these principles in there. So I like to share this screen because it's not just because I'm a big Marvel fan, but because that's kind of what I feel like when I come to work every day. Everyone on our team has complementary skills. We all have our unique origin stories, and I use it as inspiration because my brand story, my origin story, sounds like what would be, maybe considered maybe one of the worst things to happen to someone is to lose their job. But without that happening, I wouldn't be here today. So oftentimes our origin stories, like many of these heroes, are born from some sort of adversity that we overcome or some sort of trauma that we overcome. So let's jump right into this. The first step in social media, establishing your brand or getting your personal brand, is just start cloning yourself. And what I mean by that is you need to start establishing a strong digital footprint for yourself that is consistent across all these different touch points. There's so many profiles out there that you could have, whether it's LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or Blue Sky, Threads. The key thing for you is consistency. If you're really trying to build a personal brand, if you're trying to remain clandestine, if you're doing things, as a kind of an alternate persona, then this isn't the workshop for you. This is if you're trying to establish your own brand, establish your company's brand, and in the beginning, it's going to be one and the same. And what you'll see is that over time, you'll begin to separate the two. Much like I'm separating myself as a speaker from Peralta Design, that was part of my brand evolution. But in the beginning, some of the things you can do, update your headshot, right? You want to make sure your headshot is recent. I would say no more than 2 to 3 years. It's a great way to stay in shape, is by saying, okay, how long can I look like my headshot? Update your LinkedIn profile. Make sure that you're active. The worst thing you want to have on LinkedIn is a profile with no photo, for example. If you're known as Lawrence in some circles and Larry in others, you've got to pick a struggle and pick a brand that's going to be consistent for you. Document and share your journey, even in the beginning. Being very authentic, being very vulnerable with your story is a great way to stand out. I always like to say that folks spend their entire lives trying to fit in. And then when they get to the point where they're trying to launch their brand or start a business, they end up hiring agencies to help them differentiate or actually help them stand out. And the truth is, if you're really true to your true story, not only will you attract the clients that are meant for you, but you'll stand out because not one of us has the same exact path, right? We all are on a unique journey, and there's a way to leverage that through content, through social media, to really get who you are out there and differentiate yourself from others. And I do believe in abundance. I believe there's plenty out there. And you've probably seen this before, but they say that at the bottom, people are competing, and at the top, people are collaborating. So I want you to kind of remember that as we go through this presentation. So one of the first things you want to do is there's some basic fundamental foundational principles that you need to have in place before you really go ham on social media. And you've got to have a website. I don't support or encourage people that run their businesses off social media for a number of reasons. If you're doing that, you're not taking advantage of the data. You're driving more data to the Zuckerbergs of the world, and you're letting them utilize it for advertising, and they're making money off of your sweat. And instead, if you have a website, you can then drive people to this website through social media. And at your website, that's where you can capture your data. And we're going to talk a lot more about that. But on a very, very basic level, get your house in order before you begin marketing. And impacting on social media is a form of marketing. In fact, you can boost posts on social media, so it is a form of advertising. You want to make sure you have a website, at least a landing page, at the very least, a landing page for you where you can capture email addresses, where people can book appointments with you, where you can at least have some control over the data. And it's up to you what that call to action should be in the beginning. For many people, it could just be like, hey, I'm brand new. Put your email address here, sign up for our newsletter. We'll keep you up to date as we launch new products or services. Or for an individual, it might be, hey, here's my Calendly link. Book some time with me, and I look forward to meeting you. But you got to have some sort of call to action. There's no point in driving people to your website from social media and then not give them anything to do because they're gonna leave. So you've got your digital footprint established. I'm assuming you've got a brand name and brand identity, and that's part of my other workshops. But today I want to really maximize the time for social media because just in and of itself, it's a big area. And of course, we're going to leave some time at the end for a Q&A so that I can make sure that we cover those things that are most important to you. So as you prepare for takeoff, I want you to think of yourself, your personal brand, your business, and I'm assuming there are a lot of entrepreneurs or folks that run digital departments on this call. I like to use this metaphor of a rocket ship as you prepare for takeoff. And as you can tell, the top part of the ship is the brand. This is where, the colors. You'll see me drink out of this today. It's the same iconographic logo that I have on my vest. It's your story. It's also your slogan. It's, your brand identity. The body of the ship is part of what makes up social media, right? Because it's your digital footprint, but it's primarily your website. It's your presence online. It's articles. It's your LinkedIn profile. Digital marketing, social media falls under that because though I like to think of those as the thrusters or the engine of your business, because this is where you can really drive traffic. And until you can afford to do heavy Google ads or heavy video or heavy email, social media, right, for all intents and purposes can take elbow grease, but you can utilize it to drive traffic and raise awareness to your brand. Here's a quick pre-flight checklist. Some of the things that are highlighted with asterisk are what we're going to touch on today. Primarily making social media part of your digital marketing strategy. I'm going to assume that you've done a lot of this, and if you haven't, you can work with SCORE to do a SWOT analysis, for example. You want to kind of get all the basics done. You can do a lot of this through SCORE, but you also want to start fine-tuning your brand story because it's going to drive a lot of what you share. And we're going to talk about what the golden content ratio is for what you should be posting on social media. And I want you to think of these things with regards to, is it all falling in line with, am I being consistent? Am I telling a consistent story? Is it memorable? Is it unique to me? And does it kind of check all the boxes as far as what story you're trying to tell and what service products and services are you selling? The brand iceberg is a tried and true metaphor that I utilize because when we talk about branding and social media, a lot of people think it's the logo, but it's a lot more than that, right? It's all of these things that I keep stressing: the differentiators, the experience, the culture, the company voice, the company values. You'll see, like, with very competitive spaces, for example, right now, like athleisure wear is very competitive. You're seeing like Lululemon and Bird Dogs and all these brands, Viore, that sell like comfortable men's pants, for example. You'll notice that the only thing that really distinguishes them now is oftentimes their brand voice. And I notice, like, all the advertising and marketing for Bird Dogs is very much very joking, very sarcastic, very humorous, but that's not the same tone that you might see from a Lululemon brand. So it's important that you realize that oftentimes what you're posting is what's going to distinguish you from the competition. Whether you're a bookkeeper, whether you're a office cleaning service, commercial cleaning service, a personal trainer, right? All of these things that you utilize to distinguish yourself can be seen below the surface. So it's a lot more than just having a cool logo and a cool brand. So let's talk a little bit about brand story and brand messaging. And it's important for you to understand what your why is. I shared with you quickly what my origin story was and what our why was, and it still continues to drive us to this day. And it's very important that you establish not just what you're going to do to make money, but why are you doing it, right? And who are you doing it for? And what problems are you solving? And who is your target audience? Because when you start utilizing social media, you're going to have to ask yourself, where should I be spending most of my time? If it may determine what platform you pick. And I don't believe it's realistic to expect anyone to be prolific on all the different platforms, but you should identify who your target is. Are you B2B? Are you doing business with other businesses? If so, then LinkedIn should be a place that you spend a good amount of time. Are you more selling a retail product or a retail service, or are you a retail establishment? Then you know that that's more B2C, right? You're going direct to consumer, so you should probably spend more time on Meta, which is Facebook and Instagram. So it's very, very important. I do want to kind of cement this idea that if you have a real passion for your business and you have a quality service and you think you're the best at it, and you're utilizing your gifts and talents, and at the core, your intentions are truly to help people, then you will succeed. I do believe in that. I do believe that there is some predestined purpose for all of us. And if you can do that in your business, you're really on the way to success. So let's talk about social media now. The idea with it is to enhance engagement, of course. It's a great way to raise brand awareness, but it's also a very, very kind of effective way to nurture brand loyalty. And we're going to talk about what is the secret sauce for brand loyalty. What are today's consumers looking for, and how can you kind of describe that or communicate that through social media? Since its inception in '96, social media has managed to infiltrate more than half of the 8.6 billion people around the world. I mean, that's just an incredible amount of people that can be parked on social. And if anyone on this call is tracking their screen time, you can see how much time we actually are on our phones and our devices. So being optimized for social, being optimized for mobile, and having a presence across these platforms and utilizing them is a great way to impact your brand and impact your business. So I've put together 8 quick tips. I think these are going to be very useful for you. They're succinct, practical, tactical. I don't want to kind of bore anyone with a lot of technical jargon and marketing speak, but obviously, tip number 1 is determine a goal, right? Determine what your main goals are going to be. It could be boosting brand awareness. Hey, I'm brand new, nobody knows about me. Hey, you might be the big fish in Shelton, but maybe nobody knows about you in Stratford. So, or nobody knows you in Westport. So you can also boost brand awareness geographically through the use of social media. Generate conversions. That means sales, right? What is a conversion to you? Is it an appointment that's booked? Is it an estimate that's requested? Is it a book that's sold? Also, if you're a company that's been in existence, but you have a new product or service, you can also utilize social media to promote that new product or service. And of course, fostering community engagement. There's a lot of groups out there that are specific to certain towns. It's a great place for you to engage with the community, right? Whether it's good or bad, you definitely want to have someone that's monitoring your social presence so that you can engage with the community. And as a tip, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, those are probably some of the most commonly used social media apps. Utilize those. That's really where you need to be. You notice I didn't say X, I didn't say Threads, I didn't say Blue Sky. Those are all emerging. Some of them are on the way out. But these are some of the more popular ones. And depending on whether you're creating a series of videos, then you need to be on YouTube, of course. Instagram Meta, Instagram and Facebook is considered Meta. So a lot of times you can have some automation between the two to make it a little bit easier for you. And I get it. In the beginning, you're probably doing most of this yourself. Tip number 2, you've got to know your audience, right? And you've got to cater to what they want, because it'll increase engagement. So pay attention to the analytics. Do more of what's working and less of what's not. If you see a post and it's getting a lot of engagement, and honestly, sometimes it's hit or miss. We don't know. It could be a sandwich. It could be a behind the scenes. People want to know, like, what's it like, and people are doing vlogs now on social media where they're kind of video blogging what their day looks like. And listen, you've got to be comfortable with sharing, right, some of the behind the scenes content, because that's what today's users want to see. And I think it's probably as a side effect of the advent of so many reality shows that we're used to now. People want to see, well, what's it really like being a CEO? What's it really like being a boss? And don't think of posting that kind of content as bragging so much as it is inspiring, right? You want to inspire others to take the mantle, take the bull by the horns, take charge of their lives, make things happen, execute, right? A lot of people are idea people and they like and share and post what they're not doing. You want to be in that category of like, hey, I'm getting things done, and you can really share that on social through these platforms. Social media analytics trackers, these are key. They all have them. So you can look and see whether you're using Google Analytics on your website to see, well, where did this traffic come from? Hey, 90% of my traffic's coming from Facebook. I should spend more time there, right? Or if it's Facebook itself, you can see what posts are performing better than others. And if you got a post that's performing well, those are typically the ones that you want to boost and put some money behind. And we're going to talk in a bit about boosting. Create a content calendar. This is important. Now, this is something that we do with many of the clients that we manage their social media. We create a calendar so that you know far ahead of time what's this month's theme going to be, right? Because a lot of consumerism is driven by all the different retail holidays that are coming up. So by the nature of your business, there could be a time of year that's kind of like your Super Bowl, right? If you are a plastic surgeon, for example, breast cancer, awareness month is probably a good time of year for you to talk about augmentations, for example. If you are a golf ball retailer or a golf instructor, June or Father's Day might be your Super Bowl. If you're a florist, right, Mother's Day or Valentine's Day. So you get the idea that there are certain times of year where the content calendar planning is very important for you to kind of see what you're putting out there. And you can look at the month in advance. In addition, there are some AI tools like Later or Sprout where you can schedule some of these posts so that they automatically post for you, right? And consider doing some short form videos if you're having a workshop, if you're having an event, if you're having an open house. Just grab your phone, record yourself, first person, edit it later if you want to, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. You want to start putting content out, get feedback on it, refine it. And again, it does take a bit of vulnerability and kind of getting out of your comfort zone to do it. But a bit short form videos do engage quite a bit. And what I mean by those are just videos that are like short, less than 2 minutes, I would say, on these platforms. Tip number 4, I'm talking about videos here, creating exciting content. And I will share the Holy Grail, which is the golden content ratio with you. Create informative, entertaining, and valuable content. Don't just post content that says, "Hey, I'm doing a flash sale. Everything's half off. Buy two, get one free. This month's consulting services are 50% off." Like, don't spam people with just sales content. Make sure that you're sharing a variety of content that's exciting and it's fun, right? If you're meeting with a partner or you're having coffee with a client, that's fun because you both get to kind of cross-pollinate your content, right? Add them as a collaborator, right? So that it's also going to get posted on their feeds and it's going to reach their audience. So now you're reaching your audience plus theirs. Company updates are important. That evolution, like when you hang a shingle, when you move to a new space, when you get a new piece of furniture for your office, all that stuff kind of shows growth, inspiration. People love following the journey. And industry news, right? You want to position yourselves through social media as subject matter experts. So industry news is big because it gives you a break. It doesn't mean it's original content, but what it's telling your followers and your supporters and your clients is that your finger's on the pulse of what's going on. So industry news is a great piece of content to share. So let's take a look at this. This is a very important slide. This is what we call the golden content ratio. And most people get this wrong on social media. And this will totally, if you follow this, it would totally reinvigorate your algorithm, increase engagement. Now you're starting to see some more people not unfollow you. You will get some more followers, right? Because you're providing value. You're not just spamming. And half of what you post should be educational. So 50% educational. Share your knowledge, tips, trends, guides, things that you think are just mundane in your industry actually could be of value to others. So make 50% of what you're posting be educational. The other 30%, entertainment. People go online primarily to either laugh or to learn. They don't go to be hit with ads. In fact, people are sometimes willing to pay. I don't know if any of you guys have used Duolingo. It's a great little app. I'm actually been teaching myself German on there, but you can learn any language. It's free, but you got to see all these ads. And people are willing to pay to get rid of the ads. Most of the platforms operate that way, right? YouTube's very similar. Imagine people don't want to see ads, right? But yet here you are posting on social media ads. So 50% educational, 30% entertainment. Entertainment could be highlighting success stories. It could be showcasing before and afters. If you're a handyman or if you're a home remodeler and you show a kitchen before and after, or you do, I don't know, you're an esthetician and you're showing like someone with a picture of like a close-up of a bunch of blackheads and then then another image where they're gone, right? Those are before and after. That kind of counts as entertainment. You're not selling, but you are promoting, but you're doing it in an entertaining way. So that's 80% right there. The last 20%, this is where you demonstrate your talent, your skills to your audience. You have special deals. Maybe you're sharing a client testimonial. If you get a client to leave a Google review for you, you can make a graphic out of that and share that graphic. Maybe they'll even let you use their photo, but that's the kind of promotional content that really resonates with people when you share what other people are saying about you. Of course, you're going to say you're the best, but if somebody else says it, it has a lot more value, right? So case studies, testimonials, new services that you're offering, those kind of things will fall into promo, but promo is only 20% of this ratio. So this particular slide, I really want to cement it home. 80% should not be promotional, only 20. And out of that 80, go 50 educational and 50 entertainment. Are you going to follow this perfectly? No. But the closer you are to this, I think the better brand building success you're going to have across social media. And this applies to any of the platforms that we've mentioned. Key thing, probably the biggest thing that people don't do is maintain consistency. They might post for a week every day, and then they don't post for a month, and they expect to have some sort of traction. So remember, being consistent, being okay, being average every day is better than being amazing once in a while, right? So try to remember that, right? That you got to stick to it. Whatever schedule works for you. I mentioned to you in the beginning that I got on the Today Show because of these videos I was putting out. I was only putting out one video, but it was every Friday, and I would release it at around the same time of day, and it was always the same length. It was 2 minutes or less. But I did it every Friday. And if I knew I was going to be away or I was going to go on vacation, I would record 2 videos the week before to make sure that I had something to post on that following Friday, because you want to create some anticipation and trust. Anticipation and trust. And trust is the number one rule of thumb when it comes to branding. People trust brands that are consistent. When you see those golden arches, whether you're in Connecticut or California, you know that how that cheeseburger is going to taste. It's that consistency that builds that trust, right? So make sure that you have that brand consistency, whether it's through your layout, whether it's through your overall design, make it clean. Don't forget, you can go back and delete stuff and put new stuff in. You can clean up your profiles after watching this, but it helps make your brand recognizable. It makes your brand identity clear and clean, concise. And remember, people don't like to read. They tend to see color first, shape second, and then they might read, right? In that order. So don't make your content very copy heavy. Make sure that your thumbnail images are very kind of colorful and simple and eye-catching. So tip number 7. Monitor results. This is another piece that people don't do. They don't do the consistency piece and they don't monitor results. You want to kind of track engagement, follows, unfollows. Did you post something and lose a lot of followers? If so, what was it? Don't do that again. See what was it about that made you lose followers? Did you post something that got followers? Do more of that, right? So the engagement that you're tracking, the metrics, they help you optimize the content and they keep you continually, creating the right strategy for your business. So out of all the metrics, I don't want you to focus on follows, because there are people out here that will tell you, hey, you can buy, a million followers, for $500 or whatever. You don't want that. Okay. You want real engagement. Follows is actually the least important, as we want people to engage. That's more important to me. It's not just followers, because those fake followers, they may just post likes every now and then, but they're not engaging. Remember, followers is actually a vanity metric, which is great for your dopamine and your self-esteem. But if they're not engaging, they're not really helping your brand. You're not selling more product, right? So try to stay away from that. Try to build your followers, engage, organically. I much would rather trust a brand that had 2,500 followers than somebody that had 25 million, because I know that one's real and one isn't. Tip number 8, and this is again goes back to being vulnerable, telling your brand story, your authenticity. Show off that personality with your content and make sure that it's consistent and aligned with your brand. You will find your tribe. Ultimately, you're creating community through social media, and you will find your tribe. Yes, there are lurkers. Yes, there are haters. Yes, there are people that aren't going to engage ever, no matter what you do. But it should not preclude you from sharing and showing your personality, because people are more likely to follow an account, right, that is not just promoting their products, but is providing that entertaining content that's showing some behind the scenes that's relatable, right? That's a key word when it comes to social media is relatability. So make sure it's consistent. Whatever you determine that is, make sure it's consistent. So let's talk a little bit about the marketing funnel because all of us are in it. And it's very important that you understand this with regards to how it relates to social media. Now, this idea is not new. They used to use this with print advertising, but it still applies on social. In the beginning, at the top of the funnel, and we're all in this, by the way, and they did determine that phones were listening as Apple is paying out a lawsuit, $20 per device, which is a slap on the wrist, to say the least. But it is listening. It is using what they're listening and selling that to advertisers. And that first part of the funnel is awareness. This is when you become aware of a brand and you need an issue. I need a new front door. I need my grass cut. I need a new car. Well, now you're going online and you're searching and you're learning. And this is where you start to see ads. Sometimes you feel like you're seeing an ad of something that you thought about. That's pretty scary, right? Consideration. Now you're considering a Toyota, you're considering a Nissan. You're bouncing back and forth between a couple of brands, and you're trying to refine that. So now what happens is during the consideration phase, this is where retargeting can happen. Is that you go to a website, you go to the Toyota website, for example, and now you clicked on a RAV4 ad. When you go back on social, you're not going to see an ad for Toyota. You're going to see an ad for RAV4. It's moving you down that funnel. The conversion, this is when you're actually getting someone to do something on your website. Conversion is when they've explored all the options and they're ready to go with yours, right? They're either booking that appointment, they're downloading that ebook, they're making a purchase, they're asking for a free estimate. It's like that eureka moment. So you've moved them down the funnel to conversion. Now, retention is another key piece of the funnel. This is going to be good for you with not just with social media, but with email marketing, which is a different conversation. But this is where you're keeping your existing client base informed and happy and pleased, because they say it's 10 times more expensive to sell to a brand new client as it is to sell to your existing clients. So with retention, this is where you keep your followers and your fans and everybody else kind of happy. And you can do that sometimes with just sending them value through social, but also sending them value through the form of a monthly newsletter where you're giving them some more information, some tips and tricks and trends, discounts possibly, and just updating them on what your business has been up to. Let's talk a little bit about social media lead magnets, because that does tie into email marketing. Now, some of you may say, well, Ramon, I don't have a big database, I'm brand new, or I'm not brand new, but I just never invested in collecting emails from folks and things like that. Well, you can utilize social media with what we call lead magnets. And these are all ads that you might see on LinkedIn or on Meta. And what they do is they take people to a landing page and you're giving something away, something of value. For example, on the upper right, you can see it's a free PDF of what lobbying is. A lot of people don't know what lobbying is. Well, I'd like to learn what it is. Okay, well, why would you want to learn? You must be interested in lobbying. I'm going to download this free book. When you go to download this, it takes you to a landing page. And on that landing page, in order for you to get this, whatever it might be, you're going to trade your data. You're going to give up your email address or your phone number or your name or your location or whatever it is that you want to capture. And people are used to this. How many times have we gone to buy something? We see an ad for a shoe, a Cole Haan shoe on your Facebook, you click on it, and then as soon as you get to that page, it tells you, hey, if you want to get 20% off today, give us your email address. Okay, done. People do it. So that's how you'll start to build your database if you don't already have one, is by giving something of value away and doing so. And it's social media marketing is a great place to do all these things, right? You can promote, you can build community, you can drive traffic to your website, you can increase brand awareness, you can generate leads, right? Through lead magnets, you can foster relationships. One key piece on this, learn from your competitors, especially if you're out there and you're brand new. I don't care what kind of business you have. If you're, I don't know, if you're making cupcakes, if you're selling custom sneakers, if you're in the financial services space, follow other accounts from your competitors, right? See what they're posting. Look to see what their engagement's like. Look to see what type of content is getting a lot of traction. And it starts to give you clues into your own brand strategy as well. It's okay, we all do it, but learn from your competitors. Don't kind of miss out on that aspect of it. It's okay if they see you follow them, so what? And if you see somebody follow you, so what? They're probably learning from you. All right. Believe in abundance. Don't believe in scarcity. Have a growth mindset. Don't have a fixed mindset. There's plenty out there for all of us to eat. So let's talk about social media advertising and boosting. You'll see this little blue box down in the corner of your post. This is probably the simplest form of advertising that you can do, and you can do it on social media. Once you do this, if you see something that's kind of got some interest and people are liking it and sharing it, that might be a good one for you to boost. The cool thing about boosting is that you can boost it to a larger audience, right? You can decide what you want the call to action to be. It could be more profile visits, or it could be more website visits, or it could be messages that you send. And you're able to select your audience, which is really cool. Not only can you set a budget, but you can determine you want it to reach males, females, what location are they in, what interests do they have, and you can also set a duration. If you set a budget of, say, I don't know, $100, you can say, okay, I'm going to spend $10 a day for 10 days, and after that 10 days, it's going to stop. And then after those 10 days, guess what? You look at your analytics and see, did I get any traction? Did I get any followers? Did I get any conversions? Right? And you can extend it, you can renew it, but it's very, very easy to manage and control. And I think all of you on this call are able to do this on your own, or have someone on your team, if you hate doing it, do this. But I do believe that this is the first step towards advertising through social media. Just post something, see how it does, and then boost it and see how it does. And you'll be surprised when you move that little scale, you can see if $10 helps you reach 2,000 people, but 20 lets you reach 10,000 people, you can decide, and you can play around with it and do that on your own for a nominal amount. How do these ads work? It's very important that you have, again, your web presence set up, because if you don't have it going to a website, all it's going to do is like increase followers or increase likes, and that's great, again, for your ego and your self-esteem, but we want to convert, we want to sell, right? So here's an example of how this boosted post can take you to a landing page, which then takes you to a form. And when you take that form and somebody hits let's go, you're going to get this data now, and you can decide if the juice is worth the squeeze. Is this you're basically vetting and screening the contacts that are coming through your website, but it starts with social media. Some AI tools as we get here through the home stretch, because I do want to leave some time. I know we got to stop at 1, but I want to leave some time. It looks like we got a lot of questions in the chat, which is great. AI tools, Chat GPT. If you haven't started playing around with it, please do. It's free. Go to chatgtp.com. Ask it anything you want. Tell it to help you write captions, have it write, your brand story by giving it a few clues. Just ask it, what do you know about me? And you'll be surprised what it says. I think that's everyone's homework assignment is to go and ask ChatGPT, what does it know about you? Google, Meta, SEMrush, MarketMuse, all of these are great AI tools, that you can utilize to enhance your social media presence. I want to end on a note here with a great quote that I love by Howard Schultz, the past CEO of Starbucks, which is, if people believe they share values with a company, they will stay loyal to the brand. Why is that part of social media? It's because on social media, it's a great way for you to express what some of the causes are that are important to your business. Depending on what charities you support, what nonprofits you're on the board of, or maybe you and your whole team are going to go and volunteer for Habitat for Humanity this weekend. That's great content to share. More than 80% of millennials expect the brands they support to take a stand on social issues. So make sure you know your audience. And don't be afraid that if you post something that's important to you, that you might lose some folks, because you can't be everything to everyone. Yeah, you might, but you're going to gain the right people that do want to support your business precisely because of the social causes that you get behind. So be a good company by doing good. What can you do as a small business owner? Some of you might say, well, I can't change the world. I'm a solopreneur. You can. There are plenty of organizations locally that you can support. Like, we have great partnerships with Junior Achievement. I was an at-risk youth, and my life could have gone a number of ways, and it didn't. And for that, I'm grateful, and for that, I pay it forward. And so I always talk to kids. It's a big part of what we do here, and it's become a big part of our culture. So you'll see us posting these kind of things on LinkedIn, and there might be clients that specifically want to work with us, particularly if they're clients in that same space or whose mission aligns with our mission. They'll work with us over another agency simply because we're sharing the type of givebacks that we're doing in the community. And again, this is not bragging, you're inspiring. Change that idea that you're bragging to inspiring, that you'll inspire some other business to also go out and make a difference and change the world. And it starts with kids for us. That's where we feel like we can make the biggest impact. So as we wrap up, just remember, never stop learning. I'm glad to see a bunch of you are on this call. There are a lot of other programs out there. Many of them are free. I've had the fortune of attending the Tuck MBE executive program on scholarship. Believe me, if you dig, you'll find there are great resources right here in Connecticut. At the very least, follow business podcasts, read business books, join entrepreneur masterminds. You want to be around other entrepreneurs, other business owners, other folks that are in your space, because I really believe iron sharpens iron. And no one does it alone. I certainly didn't do it alone, which is why I'm here, hopefully to pour into you as well. I gave you guys a code in the chat for the book. It's the fastest way to supercharge any business. If you want a hard copy, of course, you can order it. It's available on Amazon. But I did want to give away an ebook version to everyone on here. So there's the link in the chat. This is something else that you can all download for free. These are activity sheets that are available on our website that'll help you develop your brand story, set some SMART goals for your business. These are all things that'll help and help you provide, some additional content as you work out what your brand narrative is, and you start to formulate a social media strategy. And again, this is going to get recorded, so if you don't catch it now, it'll be available in a couple of days. For those that are starting out, I have a TED Talk that I think you'll find interesting. It's on YouTube. It's called Be Yourself, Fire Yourself, and Invest in Yourself. And I think you'll get a lot of value out of that as well. And there is a Calendly link there. I can also give everyone a 15-minute consultation at the end. Just book there. Again, this will be posted online. Bob, I want to thank you. I'm going to stop sharing, and then we can do some Q&A.
That's great. Thanks, Ramon. Lots of good tips and information there. And we're going to use the rest of the time here for Q&A. And if you have a question, please use the Q&A button, and we'll just take as many as we can up until the top of the hour. Our first question, Ramon, is from May. She's saying, I target the senior community to promote my funeral pre-planning plans. Should I still use all these 4 recommended social platforms? And it goes back to when you were recommending, I think it was the four main ones that you were referring to at that time.
Okay, yeah. So the question is, should she, let me see if I can stop sharing here. Maybe if you just remove me well, we'll leave this screen up for now.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, so that's a great question, because if you're dealing with senior citizens, you're probably wondering, like, are they on social media? But the truth is, like, My parents are on social media and they're in their 70s. So, there's an you know, increasing amount of seniors that are savvy enough to be on social. Are there like 90-year-olds and 100-year-olds on there? Probably not, but I think that you can find a good amount of folks that are in their 70s and 80s. And also ask yourself, who are the decision makers for them? Their adult children are probably on social as well. So maybe the messaging gets targeted more to the adult children of some of the folks that you're servicing on those platforms. So my answer for you would be absolutely. Um, remember, it's not your only strategy, but it should be part of an integrated overall strategy. So if you fear that some of the messaging might be missing your target audience, then I would augment a social media strategy, perhaps with a print campaign. Maybe there's direct mail, maybe there's a big postcard that you send home, because I think seniors, especially shut-ins, they enjoy getting mail, and going to their box and finding something, and they will read print. So make it part of an integrated campaign, and maybe if you feel like and you can ask your clients, are they on social, right? Like do some focus group testing. But I think making a part of an overall integrated strategy is important, and maybe making some of the content that you put on social not be targeted directly at the senior, but at their adult children, could be a good strategy for you.
Okay, that's great. Our next one's from Carrie. She's saying some use social media post schedulers like MetroCool, Buffer. Could you share your perspectives of the pros and cons on its efficiency or more effort than useful?
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with those, but our team here does use Later quite a bit, which is similar, and we used to use Hootsuite, which is also similar. Um, I think they're great for automating content that has been approved. And that's why the content calendar is important. You want to make sure that you know what's going to be posted ahead of time before you utilize some of these methods or these platforms. Is the juice worth the squeeze? I believe it is, if you find yourself short-staffed. If you have a small staff or you're doing everything yourself, then cloning yourself in effect through these platforms is gonna prove to be very useful, because you might be on vacation, you might be asleep, you might be doing something completely different, and there's a post that goes up that you didn't actually post, that it was kind of queued up for post. So it can be very helpful when you have a small team, or you have someone on your team that's doing a lot. This can kind of be like an extra set of hands for them. The only precaution I have is you also have to be aware of like what's going on in society or in the news, or in current events, because if you have a post that's scheduled, and let's say you're saying we're having an explosion sale, or we're blowing up with discounts, and then there's some sort of bombing that took place, right? That obviously wouldn't be good for your brand. It would show that you were kind of insensitive to what's going on timing wise. So it's not a complete set it and forget it, but it can be a tool that can help you be an extra set of hands. But just keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on, and be ready to go in and like pull a graphic if it's going to seem to be insensitive. And today, being sensitive is like part and parcel for every business. You just have to be aware of what's going on in the world, because people are canceling folks like left and right for very minor offenses at times, it seems. So use these platforms, but also be aware of what's going on, and work on a content calendar, because nothing is going to be set it and forget it. But a combination of the two can help your business.
Thanks. Our next one is from Lena, and she's saying, how do you boost a post on IG? I'm not sure what IG is, but maybe you do.
Yeah. So on Instagram, yeah. So it's very similar
Okay,
to,
it's the way it was put. The
yeah.
small I.
So it's the same way. And with Meta now, when you boost it on Facebook or you post on Facebook, you can boost them on both platforms. So it's gotten a little bit easier. Some years ago, Facebook bought Instagram, so it's essentially called Meta now. And when you boost it on Instagram, you can also just like when you post on Instagram, you can click whether you want that to also appear on Facebook. And now Threads is another platform, which is their version of X or Twitter. You when you post something on Instagram, it can go to your Threads, and it can also go to Facebook at the same time. So there's a little bit more automation. And when we talk about AI, there's also it'll help you with captioning if you have trouble with that as well. It'll say, can you want to make this longer, shorter, funnier? It's quite scary what it can do, and it's just getting progressively smarter. But it's in the same to answer your question, in the lower part of the graphic, you're going to see an option there on Instagram where you can boost a post. It's something that it has become ubiquitous now. Especially if you run a business account. We haven't really talked a lot about personal accounts and business accounts, but the algorithm has changed now where you'll get more engagement if it's a personal account. If you have a business account and you make a post, you may not see a lot of people get served that graphic without it being boosted, and it's just their way of making money. So what I do sometimes is I'll post on my business account, but then I'll reshare it through my personal because I know my personal is going to get a lot more eyeballs without boosting it. So sometimes you're just trying to kind of game it a little bit and see what kind of luck you have.
Okay, time for a couple more. Our next one is from Shamim. She's interested in how to promote my website on LinkedIn to teachers and librarians. Would you have any advice on how best to do that?
Yes. So the worst thing you want to do is just post your link and say, "Hey, check out my website." Right? That's spamming. So what I would encourage you to do is have a section of your website that is where you post your blogs, where you're writing articles essentially. Don't post the blogs. And sometimes I see people write these long posts on Facebook or these long posts on LinkedIn, and you're really just helping LinkedIn and Facebook. If you have a long form piece of content, an article that you've written, doesn't have to be very long. It could be 500 words, could be 250 words, but have a photo and have, an article below it and talk about some of your services or share an anecdote about a case study or a success story. Then you share a link to that article on LinkedIn because now that content now becomes valuable. Now you're basically saying, here's an article I wrote, here's a case study I wrote, here's a happy customer, or here's a situation I had, and you tease it a little bit. Maybe you post, you cut and paste a sentence or two from the article and make that your caption, and then you put the link to your website for the article. The idea is that when they go to read the article, they're not reading all of it on LinkedIn, but rather to finish it, they're going to go to your website. So you're in effect promoting your website, but you're giving away some knowledge, you're sharing some content. Yes, it's a little bit more elbow grease than just putting your domain on there, but I think you'll find more success. You may even find people sharing it if it's really valuable, and that's going to give you even more traction. I think out of all the platforms, LinkedIn has the greatest likelihood of the virality of it, like of you getting more eyeballs organically because they have first level connections, second level connections, third level connections. And as soon as you comment or like or share anything, all of your followers, all of your connections can see it. And so there's this ripple effect that happens on LinkedIn organically on the free version. Like I don't even pay for LinkedIn. There's more likelihood of getting more eyeballs and impressions, they call it, on LinkedIn than many of the other platforms. The other platforms, sometimes you have to pay for it.
One last question from Timothy. As a federal firearms dealer, gunsmith, and firearm sales and transfers small business, how do I get noticed on social media with the restrictions on firearm sales and advertising? Interesting.
That's a great question, and I can tell you that there are a lot of Facebook groups that I would have you search Facebook that are groups that are for and by gun enthusiasts, and join those groups, and then kind of participate in the banter that goes on in those groups. Sometimes they're reviewing guns, they're people are posting pictures at the range and they're asking for advice, and then you can become a subject matter expert within these Facebook groups that are already they've already self-identified themselves as being folks that are your target audience. The problem with just promoting like in general on Facebook is that now you're kind of shouting into a crowd of clients and that potential customers, but then detractors and people that are gonna like criticize you or they're not fans of guns and things like that. So I would say to do a little bit of elbow grease by searching out enthusiast groups or hobbyists or proponents, and go in there and then join, and then in your regular profile or in your business profile and then share to your personal profile. I think you can focus more on educating, on regulations, on laws that are changing, on maybe which states accept certain permits and which states don't, um, so that your content is more educational. In your space, you really, really want to stay away from promoting it, but you want to rather be a purveyor of facts and information that maybe folks can't find or folks are unaware of. And this might be just knowledge that you get out of some of your regular subscriptions that you already, that you're already getting, but the average person, the average Joe is simply unaware. And so you position yourself more as a subject matter expert, and that's how you're promoting. And it's less about advocating the use of them, but more like promoting safety and regulations and laws, and just being a subject matter expert in that regard. I think would do great wonders for your brand.
That's great advice, Ramon. Fortunately, we do not. We're out of time. We don't have any time for the remaining questions, but just as a reminder to everyone, the webinar has been recorded, and a recording will be available on our website within the next day or so. And you just go there and click on demand webinars. Our next live webinar will be next Tuesday, January 14th at noon. And the topic is how my Connecticut savings can help employers and employees succeed, with Lisa Kidder presenting. And again, more specifics on our website. If you'd like to take advantage of the free individual counseling, you can use the bit.ly link that you see on the screen, or just go to our website and hit the request a mentor button. And we'd really appreciate it if you could fill out your evaluations that have been sent at the end of the webinar. They really help us going forward. And on behalf of SCORE, thank you all for attending today's live webinar. And a special thank you to Ramon for presenting today. It was a great webinar. Thanks very much, and enjoy the rest of your day, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Ramon.